Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about the banners. We have the, of course, fusing Goku and Vegeta into Gogeta Blue banner, and then we have the fusing Goku and Vegeta into Super Vegito banner. I've had a lot of people ask me, which banner is better, which character is better. So we're going to talk about the banners here mostly. When it comes to the characters themselves, I have done the initial showcases on both units, and it's really tough to say who's better at this point. I'm going to need a lot more time with both the characters before I can come to any sort of definitive conclusion about which character is better. If you held me hostage in a room and told me I couldn't leave until I said which character is better, I would probably say I'm leaning slightly more towards Vegito. I just think his rush mechanic is just ridiculous. Gogeta though, his like strike chaining thing, I always forget the name of it, but when he transforms into Gogeta, the strike chaining thing is really strong against characters like UI and Gohan, who have the strike counter unique gauges. So I can't really say definitively who's better. Again, if you had to get a response from me, I would very slightly say I'm more leaning towards Vegito as of now, but that could very easily change. I've only done the initial showcases on these characters at 6 stars each, no Zenkai buff, stuff like that. So I don't really have any opinion as of right now. I'm going to have to use them a lot more first. But in terms of the banners themselves, I think we'll take a look at both these banners, and at the end of the video, we'll come to the conclusion of should you summon or should you not summon. So first things first, actually, before we even do that, I will say that I have done these videos in the past, and I always preface every single one of these videos by saying you can choose not to listen to this advice. You can choose to do whatever you want. Obviously, this is one of the more special celebrations we've ever received. I would say that even amongst anniversaries and Legends Festival celebrations, this one certainly feels to be on almost a different level compared to previous ones, just because of the sheer hype of the characters themselves. Gogeta Blue, Super Vegito. I personally would actually say I do think Super Vegito is like the single #1 money-making character in Dragon Ball, period. And the fact that these are the first ever fusing characters in the game, I mean, this is a pretty big milestone for the game, honestly. So if you are somebody who's just very excited for the characters, if you are, very hyped and you just want to pull the characters because they're cool and not necessarily because of how good they are or because of necessarily how good the banners are, I would say that is completely valid and you should go ahead and summon if that makes you happy. These are characters that I don't think are like underpowered or not good enough to be used against the best character. Like, these certainly are very strong units, so it's not like you're going to be doing yourself a disservice for summoning on these banners, right? So let's go ahead and take a look first at the Gogeta Blue banner. So we have Gogeta Blue, obviously the first character Goku and Vegeta who fuse into Gogeta Blue. Standard rates, this is a double rate step up with 20% sparking rates, and then we get double Z power. That's almost every single LF step up is like this. So Goku and Vegeta at 0.5%. We have Orange Piccolo here, who I would say is still pretty decent. I wouldn't say he's insane. I wouldn't say he's great. I would just say he's pretty good. He's pretty decent. So not a bad character at all. The Gammas are, I would say, a little bit better than Orange Piccolo, but they're certainly not anything insane. They're just good. Again, I would say they're just good. I would pretty much say the same thing about Goku and Frieza. It's funny because we have part 2 and part 1 characters from last year's anniversary on this banner here. Goku and Frieza, wouldn't really say they're great, wouldn't really say they're mid, they're good. Like, that's it. These first 3 characters on this banner, besides Goku and Vegeta themselves, I would just say are pretty good. So off to I would say a decent start here. We have UI Goku, the mastered one, who does not have a Zenkai yet, doesn't even have a unique equipment. I would say this guy's pretty tough to use right now. He gets clobbered by most characters. Not a great addition to the banner. At some point, he will get his unique equipment, but as it stands right now, I wouldn't really call him a valuable character. Bardock is a really valuable character for bench purposes, but in terms of his actual usage in a fight, he can be okay, especially with how heavy purple dominant. Well, I would say, basing this opinion off of the pre-anniversary meta, purple is like one of the more dominant colors, with Nappa, Vegeta, and Frieza both being purple. And Bardock could actually fare pretty well against that Frieza 4 / powerful opponent lineup. But other than that specific situation, Bardock is like kind of like a again, I'll probably just put him in the same category as like the first 3 characters, Piccolo, the Gammas, and Goku and Frieza. He's good. He's not great. He's not mid. He's good. That's it. Evolution Blue Vegeta, I would probably put him a little bit lower. He never really took off, I think. When he got his Zenkai Awakening, I was kind of skeptical on a few things, and a lot of those things ended up being the case, and I would really say this guy, this is actually probably an example of a mid character, this Evolution Blue Vegeta, and because he's already Zenkai Awakened, you know, he's probably not going to be anything insane anytime in the future. It's possible he does get a unique equipment down the line, but we've seen that whenever they give unique equipments to characters, that doesn't really propel them, at least modern unique equipments, doesn't really propel them to the level where they need to be at to be like super ultra competitive with the best of the best anymore. That's, I guess, just the philosophy they've adopted recently with those unique equipments, but not really that big on this character. I mean, the good thing about this guy, and I'll probably touch more on this later, is he could act as a pretty good bench character for the Fusing Gogeta unit, with him being a Vegeta Clan and yellow Zenkai buffer. Then we have Fusion Zamasu. This is another character we are waiting on for his Zenkai Awakening. As it stands, you're obviously not going to be using him. This is like if this Evolution Blue Vegeta is mid, I would actually say this guy's like bad because he's so old. It's 30 is a 3-year-old character, 3rd anniversary character. Like, he's not usable. He's not good. We're just waiting for his Zenkai Awakening, which potentially could be soon because he's pretty old, and that would make him pretty good. Next, we have Full Power Broly. Now, this guy is about to get his Zenkai Awakening. It's actually already in the game, but the Zenkai Awakening banner is not going to be live until Wednesday, so a few days from when this video goes live. I think it's the 29th is the date that this Zenkai goes live. I've looked at his details. Obviously, I haven't used it yet because we can't, so I can't give a definitive conclusion on how good Broly post-Zenkai will be. But he seems pretty good to me. I think the thing about Broly that people often forget is he has access to some of the best equipment in the entire game. He has his own unique equipment, number 1, and then number 2, he has like not his own unique equipment for the second one, but it's kind of like a very specific situation. It's an equipment that gives you extra stats if you're a movie powerful opponent Super Saiyan. So Broly, I think, gets like a 20% straight damage buff from that in the 3rd slot, and he's getting a bunch of other stats as well. So he is a character that definitely can snowball off of those like crazy equipment stats, and then he has a very snowball-y kit in general as well. So we'll see how well he does post Zenkai Awakening, but again, I'll pretty much say the same thing I said with Evolution Blue Vegeta, even more so. I would say out of every single character on here, even more than Bardock, I would say probably, is this guy's bench value is going to be immense when he gets his Zenkai. He's giving a really, really high value Z ability, and then he's going to be buffing blue movies with his Zenkai ability. I think movies as a Zenkai ability is one of the more valuable ones we could get, besides like Saiyan, because there's so many movies characters, and there's always going to be releasing more and more movies characters as we move forward. So anytime we get another blue movies unit, which is going to happen probably like the next few months, Broly will have some additional value, if not just, you know, being a good Zenkai himself, being a good bench character. So this character is, I think, a decent addition to the banner. Now we're going to move into the normal sparkings. We have the first of the 2 1% sparkings. Well, on this banner, it's the only one. It's the Green Fury Broly. I did my initial showcase on this character. He seems pretty good. I think the main issue with him is the fact that he doesn't have baseline card draw speed, which could be a bit of a problem, but I think the playstyle that I went with when I used him is just to like spam everything immediately. Just so that we could fit all the attacks in, because I think he only gets 5 counts of cover nullification when he uses his first arts card. So what I tried to do is I tried to just fit all of those arts cards in that 5 count window to try and weave everything in, to when he actually has cover null, so we don't just have our combo interrupted. And he seemed pretty solid. I think that, and then he has some pretty good disrupt, and he has some pretty good healing. So once we get him start up, once we get him Zenkai buffed and stuff like that, I think he could actually be looking pretty solid. So I was actually pleasantly surprised by him as a 1% sparking. So that was good to see. And then we have some of the other 1% on here. We have the yellow failed fusion Gotenks from the Legends. He was introduced during Legends Fest. I actually think he can be pretty good, especially again in a meta that is littered with a lot of good purple units, Golden Frieza in particular, Nappa, Vegeta also. This guy could be a decent tank, a decent stalling character with endurance, stuff like that. So I actually don't think this is a bad unit. Magenta, I don't really see him much anymore. Especially now with how tough it is to run like green characters in general, especially like characters that aren't really doing anything super special. So I'm not really that high on Magenta. This guy was like just bad on release. Purple Whis like a gimmick character. Beerus is just super old. This guy, yeah. Like a lot of these characters down here, once we get to the bottom of the list, are not that great. But I would actually say overall, looking at the list of characters, it's not that bad of a banner. Something you guys have to realize, and I think this is going to sort of be leaning more towards my conclusion, is when you look at how good and valuable a lot of the banners have been over the past year, not just like recently, over the past year, it really does seem to me like Legends is making a concerted effort to make most of the banners featuring new characters. So for Legends limited step-ups, for Ultra banners, they really seem to be making a concerted effort to make the other characters on the banners besides the new characters not as enticing. So like, I don't know when the next time we're going to see a banner as valuable as this again. And I think when we're taking a look and considering the rest of the parts of the anniversary, so part 2 and part 3, assuming the format follows the same format that we've seen the past year or so, where I'm assuming it's going to be the same format as Legends Fest. Part 1 is 2 LF banners. I think part 2 is going to be an LF banner, but I think it's going to be a Game Originals unit. So during Legends Fest, we got Goku and Bardock. I think Anniversary now, part 2 is going to be another Game Originals character. The format for those banners is legitimately so bad that I think if you ever summon on those, you are doing yourself a disservice. I legitimately think so. This is not a knock on the idea of Game Original characters. This is not a knock on Goku and Bardock. I think Goku and Bardock as a concept, you know, having Goku and his father fight together, I think it's a cool idea. And I have no doubt that whatever character they're going to introduce for part 2, assuming it's going to be a Game Originals character, I think it's going to be really cool. My idea for a part 2 Game Original character would be Z Broly and Super Broly as a tag character. Again, I think it's cool. I don't really have anything against the concept, but the banner format that they have chosen to adopt for the release of Game Originals characters is really, really bad. Honestly, it's to the level where it's almost offensive to the player base of how bad it is. So I can't in good faith recommend people summon on those part 2 banners. Again, assuming they don't change the banner format. That's not something I can predict. So I'm going to have to assume that the banner format's going to be remaining the same. And then for part 3, we can only just assume there's going to be an Ultra. That's been the way it's been for the past 2.5, 3 years now, where we have part 1, something releases, part 2, something releases, and then part 3 is always an Ultra. Of course, for last anniversary, it was Ultra Vegito Blue. For Legends Fest, it was Ultra UI Sign Goku. This year, my prediction is Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Goku. But again, the banner format for Ultra Rising banners is pretty bad. So when we're talking about a value perspective, when looking at the entirety of the anniversary, part 1, part 2, and part 3, I would say that without a shadow of a doubt, part 1 always, and this has always been the case, it's not just this year, part 1 is always going to have the best value in these banners because of the way that the LF step-up banner format is. The summon coins, the discounts, the just overall quality of the featured characters. Again, this is not like a crazy banner. I wouldn't say this is a crazy banner, but I'm telling you, it's gonna be better than what we see for part 2 or part 3, unless they change the banner formats, which I don't see them doing, but maybe they will. I don't know. I can't predict that. So for this banner in particular, the blue Gogeta banner, I would say it's decent. It's pretty good. It's not great. It's not horrible. It's good. It's a pretty good banner. Okay, let's take a look at Vegito's banner. So taking a look here, we have Vegito / fusing base Goku and Vegeta from the Buu Saga themselves. Obviously, I think they're a very good character. I can't really give much more than that right now because I haven't used them enough. Super Vegeta is the first character. This is actually the first time Super Vegeta has returned because he's not that old. I'm honestly pretty surprised that they brought him back already. This is a character that released, I think it was February when he released. I think it was mid-February that he released. Super Vegeta is a character that gets memed on a lot. I meme on him a lot. A lot of people make fun of him. A lot of people joke around. And for good reason. I think this character should have been way better on release. Let's just get that out of the way now. He should have been way better on release. However, I think this is certainly not a situation where you can look at Super Vegeta and compare him to like Blue Namek Goku. Like Super Vegeta is just a better character, I think. I easily was able to get God rank with Super Vegeta when he first came out. I think, you know, obviously the game is going to evolve since that point, but I still think Super Vegeta can do pretty decent. I mean, there are a few glaring issues with his kit that we've all acknowledged at this point, but he's not so bad to the point where it's like, oh my God, he's unusable. He's not that bad, but he is bad in comparison to what he should have been on release. That is the conclusion to come to about Super Vegeta. So the fact that he's even on this banner at all, I think is a good thing, because this is the first time he's come back, and he didn't come out that long ago. It was about 3 months ago, which is pretty fast in terms of how long they typically take to bring characters back on the banner. So I think this is a W inclusion, honestly, on this banner. Path to Power Kid Goku is not really a character you see that often. I would just call him, again, he probably falls into the same like measuring thing as like the other banner, like the Gammas. He's probably similar to the Gammas. I don't know. I'd probably say the Gammas are a little better, but Kid Goku is not like that far behind them. He's good. He's not great. He's not mid. He's good. Namek Goku with his unique equipment now, I would say he's pretty good too. Again, he's not like terrorizing the game. He's not like shutting down Golden Frieza. He's not shutting down like Ultra Gohan or Super 17. I mean, technically he can shut down Super 17 with the lock-in, but he's pretty good. Not game altering, not meta defining. He's good. Yeah. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is probably the best character on here that isn't the Fusing Goku and Vegeta. Probably. Who else is on here? I don't know about Supreme Kai. I haven't used him enough. My initial impression probably says no. I think he's probably pretty hard to use for most players. I can't really form an opinion on Supreme Kai yet, but I think Supreme Kai is a pretty decent support / utility / disrupt unit, which is solid. That is a good role to have as a 1% sparking character. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is really good. I think this is a W edition here. He is also included on a bunch of the other ticket banners that we are seeing throughout the anniversary, so I'm not sure how much I want to, praise them for putting him on this banner, because he's not that new. He's 3 years old now. Again, he's the same slot as Fusion Zamasu they released together during part 1 of the 3rd anniversary. But he's a very good character. I think GT probably will get some kind of buff later on in this anniversary, and so he'd be a really good addition to that team if you're able to pull this character and then whatever other buff GT gets down the line. Majin Vegeta is on here for one purpose, and that's the Zenkai buff for this character. Majin Vegeta himself, I mean, you're going to see like a YouTube short, I guess, of like Majin Vegeta killing someone in one hit by with a blue card, but it's like once every 30 matches or something. It's not going to happen. He's not a very good character anymore, but a good bench character. So down here, these two characters are like timeless bench units. Obviously, Super Saiyan 3 Goku is not going to be used, but him as a bench character, Green Saiyan Zenkai buffer, that is literally never going to age. You are always going to use him as a bench character. And then the same thing goes for Purple Super Vegito. Purple Super Vegito, for whatever reason, they actually gave him Purple Saiyans as a Zenkai buffer, as a Zenkai ability, sorry, which is insane considering he has like one of the best Z abilities too. But you're not using him. Like these two characters at the end here, like you're not really going to be actually using them in the fight. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is very good. This guy is good. This guy is good. I would say Super Vegeta, I would say he's in between good and very good. I'm not going to give him very good. I can't, in good faith, I cannot give him very good, but he's a very solid character. Then the 1% characters talked about Supreme Kai a little bit. Master Roshi is like, we have like the 3 horsemen of like meme characters on here. I guess it would be the 4 horsemen. The 3 musketeers of meme characters. We have Super Vegeta, we have the Boo Duo, and then we have Master Roshi on here. All we're missing is Boo Tanks for the 4 horsemen. Actually, Boo Tanks? No, he's here. Okay, 4 horsemen. The 4 horsemen have the 4 horsemen have come together. They've aggregated together in this banner. Okay, yeah. Bad. Android 8 is like very niche. Tien is just old. Buhan is old. This guy, I feel like you could get some value out of this guy, but he's just so old. Well, not so old. He's just so niche, I would say. Like, I don't really know a situation where you really want to use him. And for whatever reason, they decided to give him like one of the single worst Zenkai abilities of all time. Green Frieza Saga. What the hell? This guy, I actually just did a video on this guy. He's ancient. This guy is like pre-2nd anniversary. He's so old. What are they waiting for Zenkai? They might give him a Zenkai during this anniversary, honestly. This is a premier bench character. This, like, if you're using Fusion Warriors, especially now with Gogeta existing as a yellow Fusion Warrior, you are this is an auto include on your bench. This Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. He's a Fusion Warrior HP buffer with a Z ability, and then of course he's buffing Fusion Warriors with his Zenkai abilities. So that Gogeta, fusing Blue Gogeta with this Gotenks as your bench, that is a really good pairing. Bardock is a pretty good Zenkai buffer. He is Blue Saiyans, and then his Z ability is a little bit strange. It's Super Saiyans. One of the characters, honestly, this guy is like amongst the top 5 most hated characters ever for me. because he has one of the most BS abilities ever with the critical rate and damage buffs, but he's not as much of an issue anymore, so whatever. And that's pretty much it. Everything else is super low rate, so that's what this banner is. If I had to say which banner is better, I would probably rate it like this. I'd probably say Gogeta's banner has better average power on it. So I think it's more evenly distributed on this banner. Like there's a more balanced power level of these characters, but Vegito's banner I think has better top end characters. Like I think Super Vegeta, again, I'm not going to tell you that Super Vegeta's great, but he's certainly better than most of the characters on that other banner. I think he might be better than, honestly, Super Vegeta might be better than every character on that other banner besides obviously Gogeta himself, and maybe Broly. And then I would say Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is probably on the same level as that as well. So there are some really good picks on here, but the overall average power level I think is probably better on Gogeta. But when you look at these banners here, I would probably say that I would, if you want to summon, go ahead. I don't really think there's like a negative to it. When you're comparing this banner to the Part 2 banner, by the way, just in case you guys are wondering, the Part 2 banner last year came out on June 21st, which would be this year's June 19th. June 19th is like sort of like the middle of June. That's on a Wednesday, so it would be a weekly reset. That's when I'm expecting Part 2 to come out. I mean, it's between 2 days. It's either June 12th or June 19th. I am leaning towards the 19th. That's when we could see Part 2. But again, if you're going to compare the value that you would get on these banners compared to the value you will get on the Part 2 or Part 3 banners, if the formats don't change, you're going to get way more value on these banners. But there's something else I would also like to mention as well. If you want to be the smartest you can possibly be with your CC, notice that end time on this banner, July 17th. This banner and the Super Vegito banner both are up the entire anniversary. So if you really want to wait and see what Part 2 is and see what Part 3 is before you make a determination as to what banners you want to summon on, that actually is the smartest way to do it. But I mean, I understand that people don't want to wait. They want to make a decision now. But if you want to summon on these banners, I would say it's a fine choice. These banners are not bad. Regardless of what people want to say, these banners are not bad because Legends intentionally makes these banners bad. So by the standards of the game, these banners I wouldn't say are that bad because typically banners are bad and these are not bad. So let me know what you guys think about this. I think if you are somebody who's debating between summoning and not summoning, you could also throw maybe a few rotations, not want to say a few rotations, but maybe like one rotation on each banner just to see how things go. And if you end up getting something that's great, you could stop it. You could stop right there. And if you end up not getting anything, maybe you can wait and see what Part 2 is. See if you want to maybe go back into the Part 1 banner. So you have a few options here. These banners are up for 2 months essentially from right now. So don't feel as if you need to rush into summoning just because the anniversary started and it is very hype right now, right? Don't get baited into summoning when you're not sure if you want to or not. So, take a second, think about what you want to do, and then make an informed decision as to how you want to proceed. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know down below if you guys have summoned, and if you have, what